Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're at the top of the hour, so let's get started. My name is Dennis Reiner, as Lynn indicated, and I'm going to be leading our discussion today. You know, annual enrollment period, AEP, which it's commonly referred to as, is just around the corner starting in October. And many of your clients may be turning 65 and eligible for the first time to participate in open enrollment. So the topic today is the best birthday gift for your aging-in clients, those turning 65. I almost wanted to say the best birthday gift ever, but thought that might be a little over the top. Though today we're going to be talking about power and personalized plan designs, and OmniFlex could be the perfect gift. I'll show you how to wrap this present and put a bow on it in just a few minutes. But is it any surprise that your clients are turning age 65? According to Ken Dykewalt, one of the leading gerontologists who coined the term elder boomers, and he's written many best-selling books, including Age Wave. I'm sorry to say I haven't read all of his books, but I've read a couple. He said this. He said 2/3 of all the people older than 65 that ever lived throughout the history of the world are alive today, because throughout history, most people did not live, they died. Did you know that the average life expectancy, for example, in the Roman era was only up to age 25? I guess in many cases, those half-starved lions outlived the Christians, maybe contributing to that lower life expectancy. But as you know, more than 10,000 people, we hear this all the time, are turning 65 every day, and that will continue for the foreseeable future. This growth in Medicare eligible population, those born between 1946 and 1964, has grown dramatically in recent years and is expected to continue to grow significantly over the next 10 years, from 65 million to nearly 79 million. Wow, that's a lot of prospects you can serve. These baby boomers, also known as elder boomers, are living longer. So when your client celebrates their 65th birthday, they have about a 50% chance of living to age 90 or beyond. You know, it's interesting. Most people don't die quickly. An unplanned and unforeseen health event usually causes them to linger. And it's the lingering and the reality that 70% of individuals 65 or older will need some form of care that we need to take note of and address, because there will be unintended consequences when care is needed. They say no one uses their birthday wish on insurance. Or do they? When I was selling, I had many clients who turned 65 and couldn't wait to sign up for Medicare, Part A and then Part B. They wanted to get on Medicare and get off of private health insurance and start saving money on those premiums. They then chose either a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan to have supplemental coverage. Some of my clients even started to take Social Security because they were no longer working. So at age 65, many of your clients are already checking off their to-do list and using at least 3 of those birthday wishes on insurance. 1, in signing up for Medicare. 2, in signing up for that supplemental coverage, MedSup or MedAdvantage. And 3, starting to take Social Security, another form of insurance. Let's take a look at 6 different scenarios where a 65-year-old might also be willing to consider other insurance strategies. I would suggest that you segment your clients by age. Those clients who will be aging in over the next 6 to 12 months, turning 65, that you identify them and then reach out, whether you email them or whether you call to schedule a review. So like these 6 examples, in order to increase the likelihood of success, I want to give you a tip. You may want to write it down. And here it is. Make sure when you have your client discussions that you understand the power to persuade lies in being purpose-driven, not product-driven. Look for circumstances that allows you to personalize a plan design. Don't just come out of left field and start talking product. And let me show you what I mean. So let's look at our first scenario here. Let's look at Cheryl. And Cheryl's motivation was a need to fill the gap for her Medicare Advantage plan with a hospital indemnity rider. Now, you could have actually given Cheryl a standalone hospital indemnity plan, but because you know that with her Medicare Advantage plan, she has immediate care coverage, but what she's missing and where there's a hole in her coverage is she doesn't have the extended care coverage. So you want to accomplish both objectives. So with OmniFlex, hospital indemnity is a rider. You can buy from $100 a day up to $300 a day, and you can select the benefit period from 3 days, 6 days to 20 days. So we're going to match up in this example whatever Cheryl has with her Medicare Advantage plan, and we're going to quote a $300 a day plan with a 6-day benefit period. Now, because we want to make sure that we're taking care of those extended care needs, we know that the hospital indemnity will take care of those out-of-pocket concerns that Cheryl has with the MA plan. But what Cheryl may not fully understand until you share it with her is that Medicare was never intended to pay for care like home care or assisted living or nursing home. And so therefore, you're going to share with her how you can fill that other. And so here's the plan design. We're going to choose a $300 a day benefit with OmniFlex. We're going to choose a 360-day benefit period. We're going to have a 20-day elimination. And then what we're going to do is we're going to match that up exactly the same on the home care side, $300 for the home care benefit daily. But we're going to change it and have a 0 day. So she's got first dollar coverage in that situation. Now you see where it says view full quote. When you get, I'm not, because of the 6 that we're going through, take the time actually to show you what the quote looks like. But that link will be active and you will get a copy of these slides and you'll be able to basically refer back to it and cover each of those quotes and look at them if you want to see the details. But to put it in perspective, how affordable that hospital indemnity rider is, it's only a little over $23 a month. And so if we add that to the OmniFlex plan design for the facility and home care, we're talking about a combined premium of $182 a month. Now, I'm not factoring into our scenarios here the one-time policy fee of $25. But you can see here we've accomplished both objectives, taking care of the missing link, if you will, in the Medicare coverage by having the extended care. And that's another words that we like to use instead of just saying short-term care. And then we've also taken care of filling that hospital indemnity concern of her MA exposure of those gaps with the hospital indemnity rider. So let's look at scenario number 2. David purchased a traditional long-term care insurance plan several years back. It had, as most of them do, a 90-day elimination. And because of a recent experience of David taking care of a family member, it kind of brought to his awareness that, hey, I could see that my family member who had coverage that they had to have out of pocket, had to pay for things out of pocket, in addition to the fact I was providing some help. So David posed the question and wanted to ask you, is there any way that I can mitigate some of that out-of-pocket expense? So now, could you sell David a comprehensive OmniFlex plan? Could he have both long-term care and OmniFlex? Of course. There's no coordination of benefit. Both would actually pay. But what David's really asking you is, what type of bridge can you build that would get me some additional cash that would mitigate my out-of-pocket expense to satisfy that 90-day elimination? Depending upon the type of care David was getting, that cost will vary. So in this example, we're going to design a plan that's $100 a day. And unlike most of the plans that we design where we use a 360-day benefit period, we're going to roll that back to 90 days, because remember what the goal is. It's a strategy. It's to provide a bridge for David in terms of mitigating some of what he'd have to pay when in order to trigger and satisfy that 90-day elimination. And we're going to put 0 day on the elimination period, and we're going to do exactly the same on the home care. So in this scenario, what we've done is we've created a very small plan, and it's so affordable. The premium is approximately $21 a month. And again, you'll be able to view that full quote. Now, if you wanted to change that daily benefit and let's say sell up to $300 for both home care and facility, that would move that premium up to about $57 a month. Again, we're not factoring in the policy fee. But ask yourself this question: how many Davids do you have? How many people have you sold long-term care to in the past who have that same concern that David has, that you can go back to and give and have, in essence, a second bite at the apple? You don't have to give them and load up a comprehensive plan. They already have probably good coverage with long-term care. And think of it this way: many of those same clients that you're helping also have friends that bought long-term care, maybe not through you, but have coverage, and you have referral opportunities as well. Let's go on and look at Susan. Susan had put off planning ahead for future care needs. Does that sound familiar? We know that the average senior today, that over 90% haven't had a serious conversation about planning ahead. And so by the time Susan did get around to talking to you about traditional long-term care, your initial pre-screen indicated at the very best, she would be a substandard health rating. And depending upon the carrier, that could be an additional load of 10% up to 20% more premium. So the big question was, do you want to go down that road and fill out that 55-page application, go ahead and have a phone interview, ask for medical records, and then take the chance that perhaps Susan would not be just rated, but she would actually be turned down? So you decide that you're going to be proactive, and you tell Susan that you have a plan that's available for extended care coverage that will offer wider underwriting. And so here's the plan you design: $150 a day benefit, 360-day benefit period. We use the same 20-day elimination. You'll kind of get the hang of this as you start designing these plans, and you'll begin to see a pattern. Not that you can't personalize and make each of them different, but oftentimes we sell, when we're selling the home care, we like that first day coverage. So in this example with Susan, she was concerned that, gee, if she's waited so long with the health concerns, it might be long-term care may have just been unaffordable. And that's not uncommon. Many seniors have been priced out of or underwritten out of a traditional solution. But here you're able to give Susan a very good plan for only $81 a month. That's another great strategy that we just talked about. So let's go on to Barbara. Wow, Barbara, man, she's your ideal client. You need about 1,000 more Barbaras, because Barbara's in great health. She wants to plan ahead. She wants a comprehensive policy for future care needs. But Barbara also doesn't want to go through that extensive underwriting process. She doesn't really like the idea of having a carrier ask for medical records and maybe ask for specialists and others that she might be seeing. She doesn't like the fact that her information goes to a medical insurance bureau. And she doesn't really want to participate, because of her privacy concerns, in a phone interview. So you take the opportunity to show her an OmniFlex plan where you're going to max out. You're going to buy the most comprehensive coverage you can buy, which in this case is a $400 a day benefit for facility, with a 360-day benefit period and that same 20-day elimination. Now, it'd be a few dollars more if you wanted to move it to a 0-day elimination, but if you want to save a little premium, 20 is not very intrusive. And then on the home care side, you have her purchase the maximum, which is $300 a day, and we have a 0-day elimination. Now, the premium in Barbara's example is only $193 a month, excluding, again, that one-time policy fee. But let's talk about the leverage that she just got in this plan and how comprehensive it really is. $400 a day is $12,000 a month. That's $144,000 of coverage for facility. And on the home care, $300 a day is $9,000 a month, or $108,000. So collectively, Barbara has $252,000 of coverage. And remember, the great thing about these short-term care plans, unlike long-term care, where we generally don't ever run into situations where people are using restoration as often, if Barbara were to break her hip or have a fall and fracture, and basically then go 180 days where she's claim free, remember restoration allows her to give to 2 times the benefit period. So she can get another year out of her plan. So already look at the leverage of only spending $193 a month for over $250,000 of coverage, and look at what restoration can do. Now, the only way Barbara could have improved on this plan is if Barbara wanted to add inflation. But because you're giving her really her upfront, what we call the short and fat, and you've heard maybe Jeff Clark talk about this and Tom Randall talk about this on previous webinars, it may be more costly to add that. And again, you may feel like you're giving her, by having that $400 a day, more coverage up front. So Barbara, boy, if we could have as many more Barbaras as you can find out there, because she's an ideal prospect for a comprehensive solution with OmniFlex. Let's go on to John. John has a little bit of a unique situation. John wants to move from a Medicare Supplement Plan G to a zero premium Medicare Advantage plan. John right now is paying about $125 a month. But John also recognizes that he needs to plan ahead. And remember again, whether John owns a Medicare Supplement or if he owns a Medicare Advantage, that immediate care exists, but there's areas in which an extended care plan is going to pick up where the Medicare Supplement or Medicare Advantage leaves off. You know, we'll talk more about that in some future training, because we have a whole training module called 5 steps to a 5-step selling process to Medicare clients. But I just wanted to share with you that in this situation, this is really all about reallocating existing dollars. It's not going and trying to find new premium to give John this solution. It's really reallocating what he's already spending. So in the plan design of $100 a day for a 360-day benefit period and a 20-day elimination, in maximizing that same $100 a day benefit for a 0-day elimination, that premium would be $55 a month approximately. So if we take the $125 that John is currently spending, he moved to an MA plan with a 0 premium, and so you take away the $55, he's still putting about $70 in his pocket each and every month. Now, though not listed on this slide, we can also look at another scenario. Let's assume that John likes his Medicare Supplement Plan G, but he's willing to incur a little bit more out-of-pocket costs. So you move him to a high deductible Plan G to save some premium. That would reduce that $125 a month premium down to about $45 a month. And if you add back in the OmniFlex premium of $55, John is still only spending about $100 a month. And you're showing John how he can, in essence, have the coverage he needs in both cases, Medicare Supplement High Deductible G, and have his extended care plan, and he can still save $25 a month. That's another great strategy. And again, you can view the full quote when you get a copy of these of this PowerPoint. So let's talk about the last scenario. Mary. Mary has health issues. Does that seem uncommon? I don't know. Some of the stats I've seen say that up to 80% of those 65 or older have at least one chronic condition. But in this case, Mary's taking excessive medications, more than the average. And we know the average with most seniors is 27 medications or refills a year. Mary also has some other things going on. She's on a strict budget. And because of health concerns, Mary knows that, she can't spend a lot, but also Mary knows that she can't qualify maybe for the most robust plan. And another concern is that Mary wants to age in place. She'd like to stay home. So this is an example of where sometimes we call it stacking policies. And could you sell Mary 2 short-term care plans? Sure. You can't sell 2 OmniFlex, but you could sell OmniFlex and another carrier. But I'm going to talk about another stacking in just a moment. That premium for this plan design is exactly the same premium that we just talked about with John in the previous example. It'd be about $55 a month. But remember, in addition to the budget, what Mary's goal was to try to get a little bit more home care than just the $100, which is for the full benefit period, 360 days, which is fantastic. And so you turn to another product that's in your portfolio that's also with Manhattan Life called the Home Healthcare Select. And the reason why the standalone home healthcare product becomes an ideal way to bundle or to package 2 solutions with one client is because you can get some additional home care benefit. And before we get into the math here at the bottom, let me just share what those benefits are. Mary's eligible to get an additional 60 days for a home health aid, and the policy will pay $40 a day. Mary also can get 8 predetermined services where she can get up to $150 a day cash benefit. Remember, just like OmniFlex, it's a full indemnity. It's cash, and as such, Mary can get about $54,750 out of the policy if she utilizes those 8 predetermined services. You'll see that when you open up the Home Care Select brochure and get a little bit more familiar with the product. So we're going to talk about a premium here for a 65-year-old, and remember, these are unisex rates of $24.56. I do need to tell you that unlike OmniFlex, where it's guaranteed renewable and we don't anticipate those rates changing, the rates in the home care standalone market are always usually age banded, which means they go up in 5-year increments. Nominal increases, but you should be aware of that when you're explaining this to your client. In this case, if we were explaining it to Mary. So let's look at maybe how the math shakes out. So the total cost for the OmniFlex plan design was $55 a month, or $661.80 a year. The total cost to add the additional policy, which is the Home Healthcare Select, which, by the way, has a $20 one-time policy fee, and OmniFlex, again, has that $25 one-time policy fee. So the combined premium in this example, and stay with me, I know it gets a little bit, we might get into the weeds here just a little bit, is $956.59. But remember, Mary is on a budget, and Mary also is taking a lot of medications. So is there a way that she can mitigate that premium and save any money? And the answer is yes, because with OmniFlex, Mary can exercise that prescription drug reimbursement feature and get up to $10 for generic and $25 for brand name drugs, and get reimbursed up to $300 a year. That's the maximum reimbursement. And Mary doesn't have to be on claim. She can do that each and every year, even without using services. And guess what? In the Home Healthcare Select plan, that too has a prescription drug reimbursement. And in this example here with the Classic, it also is $300. So wow, Mary can double dip. And now we're talking about $300 reimbursement for Omni, $300 reimbursement for Home Healthcare Select. So we take that away from the $956, and it leaves us a net premium of $356, or a little under $30 a month, excluding, again, both of those policy fees. So let's add up how much coverage Mary's actually getting. Remember, $100 a day was for 360-day benefit period. So that's $36,000 for facility, and she's also getting $36,000 for home care. We talked about the $54,750 and that $40 a day benefit for 60 days of a home health aid, which is another $2,400. All total, Mary has $129,150 of coverage, and she's done that for just under $30 a month. Let's recap. So each of these strategies that we've just talked about are strategies by which we're trying to basically, again, look for ways in which we can find a balance between flexibility and affordability. In fact, let me give you one last tip. When you find out, as we did in these 6 examples, where affordability leaves, when we find out where affordability lives, don't ever leave that neighborhood under any circumstance, because we know that we can design a plan for any budget. OmniFlex is simple, easy, and fast. Simple to explain. You can see there's not a lot of moving parts. It is fast. It is easy, in terms of the enrollment. Doesn't take very long. It's not as complicated. It's an easy enrollment process. And of course, it's fast in terms of the turnaround time, because they're only ordering the pharmacy check, and unless they need to make a phone call to clarify medications, we're talking about typically after you write your first case, which may take a couple extra days because they have to verify information on you, we're talking about a very quick 72-hour type turnaround time on average. Now, as we've been talking, and I know we're getting short on time, I was thinking to myself, should I share an additional reminder or two? And so I want to take just a couple minutes here and just talk to you about what I call the 3 C's. And it's more or less to put it in context with this review where we're recapping. So the first C is concerns. You can see in the 6 examples or strategies that we've talked about, we're trying to find out what are the client's biggest concerns, what's motivating them, where you can basically then allow your conversation to be driven by a purpose approach versus a product approach. Number 2, the letter C, represents competence. You can see that there's not a whole lot to this, so it's pretty easy for you to get your arms around these extended care plan, the OmniFlex plan, and you don't really need to be a subject matter expert. But I'm going to tell you, don't try to go it alone. That's why we're here to help with our amazing back office support. We can help in making sure you understand the pre-screening correctly for the underwriting for Tier 1 and Tier 2. We're here to help with plan design. We're here to match up if the client was looking at other coverage or considering other products where we can show the strength of OmniFlex. And so we have an amazing team that's here. And finally, the third C is confidence. You know, they say that which you persist in doing becomes easier. It's not that the task that you're doing has changed, but your ability to perform it has increased. And so as we look at these 6 examples, some of them we were hitting singles, some of them were doubles, some were triples. And we always have those occasional home runs, like in Barbara's example. And so we also need to recognize that sometimes we do strike out. So I want you to think about it this way. It's all about having the conversations. It's all about the at-bats. Whether you're talking to that 65-year-old celebrating their birthday who's aging in, or talking to that 45-year-old who wants to plan ahead, or the 75-year-old who thinks it's too late, or even that 85-year-old. We're writing all those individuals today. We're going back to the future 15 years ago where our average age was 72. We're writing this upper age market who really needs this product the most. But we don't want to not serve those who are younger as well who want to plan ahead. So imagine this. Think about it this way. If you had 10 conversations, just 10 a week, each and every week for a year, you would have the luxury of failing 80% of the time. and yet you could still increase your income by as much as 72,000. Now, what do I mean? Well, 10 conversations, and let's say 2 move ahead that you talk. 2 out of the 6 is an example in recapping. So we're going to use an average premium, and our average premium right now with OmniFlex is about 2,000. But let me dial that back and just say 1,500, because you may have some that will be higher and some that will be lower. And so I'm going to assume that everyone on this call is independent and that you're not a career agent or a captive agent that's being provided leads and other services that may factor into your compensation. So I'm just going to use easy math and just say if you got 50% compensation and the average case was $1,500, that's $750 a sale, 2 sales a week. And we look at what that translates to over a month, which is $6,000 a month, and that's $72,000 for the year. That's how I came up with the math. Now, I know there's some listening on this call who don't think that they have a crisis of confidence. They're actually better. They're not going to fail 80% of the time. They might have half of those they have a conversation with that basically move ahead and implement the solution that you're recommending. And so as such, the numbers would change. You would then have 180,000 of actual income by having this extended care conversation. Now, there's always just a few, and you probably know who you are, who you feel, and I'm not saying you're not, that you're a superstar. And that, man, anyone that you talk to, you've got the magic touch. 9 out of 10 actually purchase a plan from you. So just do the math, and it's the same math, but we're looking now that having that type of success would mean that you would make over 300,000 a year, approximately 324,000. These are just first-year numbers, not factoring in renewals. So the last thing, and I know we're just a minute or so over, but I want to share this with you. It's a little bit on a personal note. You know, I got my start in this business working my way through San Diego State University selling insurance. And one of the very first books I read on selling happened to be See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. I read that book over and over again from cover to cover. In fact, even attended a rally that he had back then that was called PMA, Positive Mental Attitude. All self-help speakers were there. And in his book, one of the quotes that really resonated with me is when Zig said, "You can get everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want." How powerful is that? You know, our job is to find the want that our clients have. With products like OmniFlex that provides for extended care, we're doing a great service. And in many cases, the clients don't even know that they have these gaps in their coverage and that they need this help. And that's where you come into play. You know, I've had the good fortune over the many years I've been in the business to train thousands of agents and give them actionable strategies like the ones that we discussed today. And in my training, I use that Zig Ziglar quote all the time. And then I follow up and I say this. Usually it's at the end of the training, just like the end of our webinar today. I say this to the agents who I've trained, as I say, you know, money is always a byproduct of the service that we give. Now, I know that for many of you, I'm preaching to the choir. You believe that, you're passionate about that you believe in helping people. And we know that the seniors that we serve need a lot of help, and we need to be that resource for them. So that's all I have for you today. So go and be of service. The money will take care of itself. And I guess if I were to unmute, as I said, and everyone would have said, amen. So I guess the sermon is over. So last thing, keep swinging. Back to you, Len.
Taking a look at the questions, though, we actually don't have any submitted at this time. I felt you covered those client scenarios very well. Anyone that does have questions can feel free to give our office a call, of course, speak to any of our knowledgeable marketers. Feel free to discuss some of the clients that you're working with. If you have scenarios and you're just not quite sure how OmniFlex might help them out or fill gaps in their coverage, call in to discuss those with us. We'd be happy to help you navigate those different options, figure out what might be a good fit, and if there is indeed a fit where additional coverage might be a good solution.
Well said. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and look forward to the next time.
Thanks, everyone.
OmniFlex. Put it in your portfolio today. Call GoldenCare at 800-842-7799.